for the final third of our season. I'll give you the police report. Typically, I always tell you that if you have the ability to read, you can obtain knowledge. And so if you look at the Indiana stat sheet, anybody that can read will have the knowledge. So I'll read the police report from the game. Offense didn't take advantage of opportunities in the first half when defense gave us advantageous positions. Defense. And started the second half when offense scored a touchdown to give us some momentum. Defense didn't get the necessary stop there in the middle 8, which would have allowed us to maybe maintain some momentum. The defensive drive where they matched our score started with a terrible kick. The kick line, I think their drive start was at the 38-yard line. So all three phases didn't play in sync, and that typically happens. I think our margin of error was 22%. I always come in here and talk about playing clean football on offense. Margin of error is 22%. That means 22% of the plays we ran on offense had a self-inflicted wound. We had 5 turnovers. We led the nation in turnovers. So I chalked that up to, again, one of those games that we didn't protect the ball the way we traditionally had shown we could. And then defense, we gave up 400 yards rushing. That's the police report. That's knowledge. Here's wisdom. Wisdom, knowledge is when you can break it down and say, hey, here's what went wrong. All right, here's the wisdom that we've gained from it. I get asked a lot, like, what kind of team you're going to have. You remember in August, everybody kept saying, hey, what kind of team you got? What kind of team you got? And I kept saying, I don't know. And I said at that point I didn't really need to know, and that when we found out it would be how we faced adversity. That's when I would know. And we're on a 4-game losing streak. We lost 3 games by 10 points or less. And then we lost to the number 2 team in the country, a really good team, a veteran team. A veteran team that has a bunch of redshirt seniors, juniors, talented players that have played a lot of football. And I think if you look at the way the game played out, we have little margin of error for how we win with the inexperienced team because we're not young anymore. We're just inexperienced. And when you look at the things that showed up, it's easy for me to say, let's dismiss it. So here's who we are as a team. We are one relentless team. And when I always use this word relentless, sometimes I think of a physical chase where you literally are chasing something down. Well, I was taught, and I always say leadership is having a positive impact on others. And I was taught by my young quarterback the other day because he had a positive impact on me by something he said to you guys that at the end of his press conference where he basically told a story about Job and patience and that he's going to relentlessly. And this team, if you look at the way this team is built, and it was built intentionally for this time. And so when you ask me what type of team we have a relentless team, and not the physical kind, but the relentless one in our faith, in that we got so much belief in each other because of the work we've done. A win this weekend against Rutgers will give us 5 wins. 5 wins is 1 more than we had a year ago. That's called progress, a little slow progress. A win this week against Rutgers gives us a 2nd conference win. That would be progress because we won 1 a year ago. It's easy to say that, same old Maryland, I'll sit here and tell you, because what I see every day is not the deep, we have a deep-rooted foundation to this team that I'm just going to tell y'all, you can write what you want, but the team is writing its story as we go. So I put Indiana behind us. I've kind of giving you what Rutgers is all about. It's a well-coached team. I got a lot of respect for Greg and what he does, very similar projects. I think I'm a year ahead of him in terms I've been here. This is year 7. I think this is year 6 for him back in the saddle. They got a team that, they played well early. They've had some close games. They've had some things not go their way. But the areas where you can see the character of his team is on the special teams, and they've played special teams really well around there for a long period of time. They have a veteran quarterback who's played a lot of football, transferred from Minnesota, did a great job there for PJ, and I expect him to, again, how he goes, they'll go. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they have enough players on that side. Their linebackers and their front 7, their boundary defensive end is their best player, in my opinion, creates some issues for a lot of teams. And I can tell you that this team, because of the faith that they have in each other and how deep-rooted we are, you're going to get their best. I'll coach better this week. I obviously didn't do a great job last week coaching. We'll play better this week. and obviously we didn't play very well. So our captains this week going into this game, Alan Haran will lead us on offense. Ian Thomas will be our defensive captain. And then we got Darius Grimes, a walk-on local player who has really made an impact on our special teams. He'll serve as our special teams captain. With that, I'll open up to whatever questions I didn't answer in my long dialogue.
Questions? We'll start with Gene on your left.
Yeah, Mike, when you go into the season wanting to contend for a Big Ten championship and kind of circumstances have changed with 4 games left, how do you kind of recalibrate what the goals are? I know it's one game at a time, but, time is running out to get to a bowl game, to get all that kind of those things that you want to get checked off.
Yeah, our goal didn't have a number on it. We said our goal was to elevate the program. I think I've displayed and showed that there's still room for us to have the type of elevation now. We created some expectations, man, because we got a good foundation, a talented team that's inexperienced, not young. Inexperienced now, that shows that there's a pretty solid foundation that if and when we keep this thing together, because of how deep-rooted it is, because of some of the lessons that we've had to learn here the last 4 games, that you'll start to see the dividends of it. Those extra practices, I can't tell you how important they are when you become bowl eligible, especially for a team with 64 players that have never suited up until this year together. Those are invaluable. And so for us, the ability to still elevate every goal that we have in our program, besides being able to probably compete for a Big Ten championship, are still there to reach. And that's where, when I talk about how deep-rooted we are and our relentless faith that we have in each other, that there's no doubt we'll get those jobs accomplished here.
Mike, you got the defense so far against the run this season, 13th in the Big Ten. What have been some of the issues you guys have been facing in that, part of the game? And then their guy, Antwan Raymond, Rutgers, what makes him a special back? What's going to make him a challenge?
Yeah, so the first one for us on defense is always about the gap soundness of our defense. And there's been times when, if you look at the game a week ago, where I think they had 180 yards of explosive runs, and they usually happen from not being in the right gap or a missed tackle. We had 17 missed tackles again last week after cleaning it up the week before. I told you each week we're going to be plugging holes and fixing things with an inexperienced team that doesn't. The consistency is always the toughest part to show up with a young team, an inexperienced team, as I should say. And so the goal is to get it more consistent, and that's where, for me, as the leader of this thing, I got to continue to push buttons, figure out how I can get the more consistent play out of us on the run side of it, and we got to run the ball better on offense. So maybe it's a byproduct of us not being very good when we face each other in practice, of being able to run the ball on offense. So we're work in progress in both those areas, but we'll get them done. We'll get them accomplished.
And the basketball cliche, the rack is a tough place to play, but on the football field, you guys have won, I think, 5 of 6 up there. How encouraging is it to go on the road where this program has had success recently? Yeah,
I think, again, when you start doing that comparison, you find yourself in a little trouble, because we'll be defined by what we do this week. This team with 64 new players has nothing to do with the 4 of the last 5 or 5 of the last 6. We'll be defined by the present in terms of what we do and how we prepare this next few days. And I expect us, a week ago, I expected, because of how we prepared, to have the success that I thought we would have. Didn't happen, but guess what? Because of the relentless faith I have in this team and that they have in what we're doing, we'll get the work in this week. We'll take this team up to compete against a Rutgers team that represents this year's version of their team, and then we'll try to play our best.
Hey, Mike.
What's up, G?
Good to see you. You've spoken about the relentlessness of this team and how this team is different. Can you speak a little bit to what you're seeing in the locker room, or some of the guys that are making themselves heard, especially among a young roster, to give you that confidence that it is different?
Yeah, I think they'll be coming up here following me. I think they're better served to answer those questions. I think if you look across the board, any of the things that show this team, and whether it's our social media team that puts stuff out, the faith is all around this program, and we got strong leadership in the locker room, whether it's a young new player coming in, having a positive impact. I told you leadership doesn't have time stamps. Accountability is horizontal. And like I said, I learned a lot from that young quarterback, just in the faith of, you can have everything going and then have them taken away, but you just got to remain diligent in the faith that I have in them and they have in us and what we're doing. And then the good thing is you'll be restored. And I expect that. That's what. Just check this team out, man.
And You guys on the offensive side at the bottom of the league in third down conversions and time of possession. I know in previous seasons a lot of that you've spoken of connected to making that third and manageable, winning first and second down. How can you change that, even if it necessarily isn't with the running attack, but how can you guys get better yardage on first and second to make those
that's
manageable?
the key. And I mean, it's a matter of, again, continuing to understand. And when you put the tape on and there's opportunities where there's 4 yards available, and now it's a matter of getting either the right guys in there or getting to the right place to make sure that we take advantage. I mean, there's so many opportunities when you watch the tape to show where there are opportunities for this team to be able to be successful on P and 10, first and 10. Those are the down and distances that make you good on third down, and our efficiency just has not been what it needs to be. I can tell you it starts with how can we run the ball, because if you can take pressure off of the young quarterback, the inexperienced quarterback feeling like he has to do everything himself, and sometimes that's the extra yardage. And we say, hey, the run game is the running back and O-line. Well, maybe sometimes it's the receiver not digging out the safety who's making the hit for 5 yards, and instead of the RPO being on there, we need to go make the block. So I always ask, when a thing doesn't work in our offense, is it personnel driven, is it a fundamental, or is it a scheme? And I can tell you that it's been a mixture of all three, which allows us to continue to fix things.
Hi, Coach D here.
D.
Is this working? Okay. All right, so my question was about the tape and relentless. What did you see on film that was relentless?
In that last game, I didn't see a lot of physical relentless, but what I saw and was encouraged by was how they responded in the locker room. I mean, when you put the work in, like, nobody can question the work we put in with. I mean, as coaches, as players, and that's across the country, because nobody prepares to go out and not play their best. And so for them to be able to come back in that locker room and they own it, I mean, that to me is the part, because I'll stand here and I'm going to own every part of it, because that's my responsibility as the leader of the program to do that. And now it's a matter of, for those guys, because as I say, accountability is horizontal, I think they feel like, hey, Coach, we got some ownership in this too, so move over a little bit. We got this. And that's the part that's been really encouraging. That's the part you guys don't get to see. The police report tells you, hey, all the things that of being able to break apart why it's not working. But the wisdom is putting it together, and those guys have gained a lot of wisdom from what we've gone through the last 4 weeks.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Coach. Just what is your message to the fans who packed the shell Saturday, leaving early because they're not just frustrated by the result of that game against Indiana, but now the past 4 games? What is your message to them in that frustration?
My message is thank you. Man, how great an opportunity, and they created an environment that this team created the expectation. So we created the expectation, they created the environment. You know what? We're going to keep showing up, so we're going to ask them to do the same. We're going to have relentless faith. We're going to ask our supporters to have the same. The real ones that show up each week and see it weren't happy yet last week, because none of us were, but I can tell you that it's still not your same old Maryland. And I'll continue to shout that because I know what's going on inside the building, and the supporters and people that really know us get a pretty good understanding that we got a pretty solid foundation to build on.
And I know you said a win against Rutgers gives you 2 conference wins that season. You would call that progress.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you consider that a little bit of a low bar to get 2 conference wins and consider that progress and hope it'd be a little bit more?
That's called slow progress, and progress is moving forward. If a year ago, and we can't compare it to 7 years ago because this landscape reset college football. So in this landscape, if you reset it, when you have 64 new players and you see the amount of freshmen and sophomores involved with it, I think if you understand football and maybe get out the police report and look at the wisdom of what's happened when you play really talented young players around here the last few years, they end up going to 3 straight bowls, winning all 3. They end up winning a bunch of ball games for you and being really successful.
Hey, Coach. Last week you talked about how the worst thing with a talented freshman quarterback is for him to get beat up. You know, with how much Malik is being asked to do and the struggles in the ground game, do you feel like he's kind of enduring that situation?
I think we all are enduring it, not just Malik. I mean, when you're one dimensional, it makes it easy to defend. And I think that's the piece for us as we embark on trying to be balanced on offense, which allows you to run and pass efficiently, and not necessarily the amount of times, but to be able to do them both efficiently. And there's been some times where we, as I said, it's a technical thing. Sometimes it's schematic, but a lot of the times I like the way Malik has handled the things we put on him. And to be quite honest, we haven't put a lot on him. If you look at how on first and second down, typically he's under center, turning around, handing the ball off. And then what we've had to do is put him in some tough third and long situations where you don't want to see a young quarterback in a bunch of third and 7+s. And that's where the efficiency on first and second down will be really important to get fixed against Rutgers.
Mike, did you hear the chants of Fire Locksley on Saturday, and how did that sit with you?
Of course I did.
How did that sit with you?
I don't know if you remember me telling you about that give a crap gauge. We're in entertainment, man. We sucked last Saturday. I would have chanted it. I would have probably chanted it too if I had a few beers and we played the way we played. But that's not going to move me, man. I've done harder. I've been through worse. As I've said, I didn't hope my way to be the head coach here at Maryland. All right, and so we're in the entertainment business. I get judged to win games. I like to follow those guys to their jobs that scream Fire Locksley, put a camera on them, and watch them do their work, and see how motivated they are to do theirs. I know I'm motivated, but not because of them, but because of the kids in that locker room, the staff I put together. That's what motivates me.
Does it frustrate you when you hear that?
No, not at all. I actually smiled. I was like, I thought to myself, yeah, I'd probably be chanting that crap too.
Hey, Coach, can you talk a little bit about the season that Sean O'Hare's having for you guys, and some of the consistency and that you found with him?
Yeah, no, Sean has been a great addition, one of the better ones. I can tell you I lost my stuff a couple weeks ago when I walked on the field against UCLA, and Dre said, hey, Coach, Sean can't kick. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And you know, it's a little-known fact that as we had to kick that extra point to tie the game at that time, that we had Capriati come out who hadn't, I think, attempted a kick in a game like that in a crucial moment. But that's one of those behind-the-scene things that you see and know that we built the right way. And Sean was a great get for us. He's been really consistent. When he's had opportunities, he's shown up. I think all three of our specialists, when you think a long snapper, punter, and kicker, have both and have all created a tremendous amount of value with winning the vertical field position battles in terms of field goals, punting, and then our long snapper Ethan Goff, who's been a rock star.
Hi, Coach. Kind of a perfect segue talking about kickoffs. You mentioned earlier that you weren't necessarily thrilled with that kickoff at the second half after the touchdown. Over the past two games, your opponents have started past the 25-yard line in each of their drives. Is there an intentionality to avoid touchbacks? And if so, why would you stick to that plan?
Yeah, no, that's not the plan. The plan is to kick it out of the end zone, and sometimes the best laid plans don't work out the way you expect them to, and so you know what you do, you figure out how to cover them. And our kickoff has been an issue all year long in terms of being able to get the ball kicked deep enough, far enough. That's a Coach Locke's issue. It's my job to make sure I have players and people that can execute those things. Dre and Chili have done a tremendous job of we've even had an all call. I think we had a bunch of some soccer players that have, we've been trying to see if there's anybody that can help us with that kickoff. And instead of complaining about it, we've adjusted how we have to cover it. And I think, we've done a decent job at it, but we just have not had a consistent kickoff out of the end zone to give our defense the advantageous drive start, which is really, really, really big in terms of scoring efficiency.
One last question. Sorry, Coach D here. I want to get your point of view on player development in college football right now. Is it undervalued, overvalued? What's your thought on that?
Player development is the only reason I'm here. They won't need head coaches. You won't need assistants if they could develop themselves, and I think that's the important piece for us. Are we a developmental program? We can't be anymore because we have such an expectation. If you look at the landscape of college football and all the things that are happening, the expectations rise. But as I've said, I'm not a victim. I embrace heavy expectations. Unlike the question asked, I don't have low bar for anything I do in my life. That would be called hope. And I'm into figuring it out and and coming up with answers. So development is really, really important. If you look across the country, you see coaches really working to take new players and grow them as fast as they can. And to me, that's been the biggest challenge from a leadership standpoint that I've had to face is how do I grow them up faster than the 2-3 year process that it has taken. And, you know, you do it by leading from the heart, making sure that you provide the necessary resources mentally, physically, intelligently, and then surround these kids with the type of coaches that can expedite their ability to create value. So long story short, development is still important. Thanks.
Thank you.